I'm sure every football fan is wondering right now, what forces were at work for Manchester City, Tottenham? What hidden forces that be were behind this result? The most Spursy moment ever, and then boom! VAR, save the day. Tottenham Hotspur were more clinical than Manchester City. Really, what was behind the 4-3 win for Manchester City? 4-4 aggregate away goal advantage for Tottenham Hotspur. What was behind this match? Well, what was behind this match was the frugality and the stinginess of North London teams. Because Tottenham Hotspur and Arsenal Football Club are really twin cousins. They are twin cousins because they have owners whose primary objective is to make money. Both Tottenham Hotspur and Arsenal Football Club will end up reaching a Champions League final right around the time that they open new stadiums. And this is not a coincidence, because this is how they rig the Champions League. Remember when AS Roma were making plans to open up a new stadium and then suddenly they came back and defeated Barcelona? Last year's draw was 4-4 on aggregate in the quarterfinals between Roma and Barcelona, and interesting enough, we are seeing the same thing happen here this year. Interesting enough, two huge upsets, 4-4 aggregate. AS Roma beat Barcelona in the quarters last year to end up reaching the semifinals, giving them that Champions League money that was needed to help fund part of the stadium construction. That was what went behind AS Roma's upset victory over Barcelona from last season. Tottenham Hotspur opened up the new stadium against Crystal Palace. And then without Harry Kane, they end up winning against Man City. VAR comes to the rescue at the end. The Spurs are more clinical. City had all the shots. But here is what happened. Here is what history has shown you exactly how this Champions League is scripted for Tottenham to pay off their new stadium. 2006 Champions League final against Barcelona, ironically. Barcelona defeated Arsenal 2-1. And then right after that Champions League final, the Arsenal board told the fans that we were going to be competing for all three trophies year in and year out. The key was to build a new stadium. Emirates Stadium opened July the 22nd of 2006. The Champions League final was May the 17th of 2006. And then voila! Arsenal just settled for the cash. They got knocked out of the round of 16 every year. They didn't try to make that ambition. So what Tottenham Hotspur fan is thinking this is only going to make them contenders, well, history is going to be very harsh because their North London cousins are acting very similarly. They're just very similar to each other. It's the plain truth. It is nothing but the plain truth. £0 spent on players during this off-season. That's another interesting thing when you look at the stingy side of Daniel Levy and Tottenham's ownership. Levy, Kroenke, really stingy guys who like to take advantage of added-on revenue streams. So Arsenal's Emirates Stadium opened right after the 2006 Champions League final. And then we have the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium opening right before the 2019 Champions League final. And here is how the semifinals and the final were completely rigged and completely scripted. You just look at Tottenham Hotspur having a semi-group of Yid fans. They're not the Yid Army because the majority of their fans are not Jewish. So I don't call them the Yid Army. But Tottenham do have some Jewish fans, and Ajax are known for having a Jewish following too. You just look at Tottenham Hotspur's main contributor, Christian Eriksen. He played with Ajax from 2010 to 2013. Scored 25 goals with Ajax. Left Ajax in 2013. And then Davinson Sanchez, a center back, played with Ajax 2016, 2017. These are some of the forces behind the scripted Champions League. Arsenal and Tottenham are going to lose the Champions League final to Barcelona right after and right before opening their new stadiums. Messi's bitch is England. He owns Arsenal. He owns London. He scores all the time against London and Manchester. We're going to add Tottenham Hotspur to this group really shortly. And you know what's ironic with Tottenham Hotspur was that they needed a result against Barcelona in order to even make it to the Champions League knockouts. And here, the knockouts began against Barcelona. It can all end against Barcelona. December the 11th is a date numerology of 23. Christian Eriksen, main man on Hotspur, also wears 23. In gematria, the practice of coding letters and words into numbers, once I zoom in here on this calculator, in gematria, it is Spain that equals 23. It was Lucas Moura that scored the main goal to actually send them to the knockouts. It's Moura that equals 23. Now Messi's going to beat Tottenham in the final. Lionel Messi equals 31. It is the Hotspur that equals 51. Funny how Tottenham Hotspur equals 71, Barcelona equals 71, Catalans equals 71, Catalonia, where Barcelona is from. You just look at the fact that Spain equals 59, it's North London that equals 59. Take a look at 4-4 aggregate for Tottenham Hotspur. Barcelona FC equals 44, Tottenham FC equals 44, Ajax Tottenham, the matchup, equals 44. This is how they rig and script their Champions League. You look at Ajax. AFC Ajax equals 46. The Champions League finals June the 1st of 2019. That is a date numerology of 46. So that's why Ajax are in the semifinal. But history is going to repeat itself this year. Well, first things first. Fernando Llorente, in the place of Harry Kane, scored the pivotal goal to give Tottenham the away advantage. Fernando Llorente. You know what's funny about the goal in the 73rd minute? Is that in gematria, it is Manchester City FC that equals 73. Llorente scores his rigged scripted goal in the 73rd minute. It was a completely scripted goal. Because, yeah, Fernando Llorente, being Spanish, born in Spain, he could end up playing in the final at Spain. And then you look at Mauricio Pochettino. Mauricio Pochettino was a part of the Espanyol-Barcelona rivalry. He would not manage Barcelona, because he played with Espanyol from 1994 to 2001. And he managed Espanyol too as well. He managed Espanyol from 2009 to 2012. So we can see the Espanyol-Barcelona rivalry, and we can see the La Liga connections in this Champions League final with Llorente being Spanish and Pochettino being from Espanyol. And then we have the Ajax players, Eriksen and Davinson Sanchez. Then Barcelona and Liverpool, we have the former players competing against each other. It's Lionel Messi and company. They're going to win against Tottenham Hotspur as we conclude the knockouts of the Champions League. History is going to repeat itself. Just like their twin cousins in North London, the Tottenham board's going to tell the fans that we're going to be Champions League contenders. We're going to compete for the Champions League and the league year in and year out. The key was to build a new stadium. The suckers game has been used for years and years and years. And the truth is that Tottenham Hotspur are only playing in the Champions League final so they can take in that Champions League money from all the knockout rounds in order to pay off their new stadium. And that's exactly why they're going to be making it into the top four this year, because they need that Champions League money next year to pay for that expensive billion-dollar stadium. And that's exactly why the Champions League final is rigged and scripted for Tottenham Hotspur to play in it in order to pay off their new stadium. That's exactly what happened with Arsenal. Arsenal told the fans they would compete against Bayern and whatnot, but it never happened. And history is going to repeat itself right here. They're going to lose the final, then Tottenham Hotspur are totally not going to be contenders for the Champions League year in and year out. But there is one year that I think they can win the league. We'd have to look out for this. We'd have to see how much they spend money as the years go by. But this money scheme has been completely exposed. Man City and Tottenham was rigged so Tottenham could pay off their stadium. Cavaet Emptor, we need the stadium to compete with the biggest. But the guys will be laughing all the way to the bank as you got conned by the suckers game, because this is only happening in order to pay off for the stadium. It's all rigged and part of business, but there's only the big of the big out there that win the Champions League. Messi, Ronaldo, you have your Juventus, you have Liverpool making finals, competing for finals. Manchester United when they're at their best. Barcelona, Real Madrid, right? It's all big boys club, and it will continue to be a big boys club in the Champions League.